So here's what I learned about myself. Something that was deep inside me that it gave me that aha moment while I was in prison. Okay? Now, I never forget what happened. There was this guy, let me tell you a story. When you have somebody who has to be the number one. Now, what I mean by the number one is not the number one in a controlled environment like business or something like that, the number one company or the number one coach or the number one teacher, for argument's sake. This is the number one guy who had to be the best at bullying and beating the crap out of anybody who gets in his way because he was angry inside, angry and rotten to his core, this guy. I never forget the guy's name and I never forget the guy's face. I'm not going to say his name on here just in case, I don't want him coming looking for me on the outside, right? So, so you know what those people are like on the outside, in normal life. They have to operate within parameters. But when you're in prison and you've got the number one bully, the guy who's the most aggressive, the guy who runs the wing, the guy who's running the jail, all of those things, that person where there's no regulation, there's no red tape, there's no procedures, there's no script or guideline to follow, because he's the number one and he's the bully and he's the bad boy, the bad guy that does everything to everyone and will beat the crap out of anybody in their way or his way, you're in trouble. When you come on his radar, you're in trouble and there's nowhere to go. So let me tell you about how I encountered a situation with this guy. So I live on the same wing as this guy, and I'll explain how it relates to business as well. So I live on the same wing as this guy. You sort of see him around. You don't want to look at him because he's big, he's ugly, he's aggressive, he's rude, he's arrogant, he pushes in the dinner queue, he bullies people, he bullies the officers, he's got the officers in his pocket where they're doing deals and, all the shenanigans that go on inside. He carries weapons. He'll use the weapon. He's used it on lots of people already. Nobody will grass him up because they will get killed. And he basically does whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And he has to prove himself every single day. And you hear stories about what he did today to that guy. And this guy's just come back from hospital after 2 weeks and this is what he did to his face. And this other guy's just come back from, somewhere else and this is what he did to, etc. He stabbed him in the neck and slashed him. All of those things that are unimaginable for normal people. That's just a typical day in there and that's just what the guy does. So I remember I was on the wing. I'm trying to think of the wing now. I'll tell you where it was. It was Norwich Prison. It was Norwich Prison, and it would have been a wing called H Wing, I believe, if I remember. So if you can imagine what it's like in prison, this particular wing is like an open church. It's not as nice as a church, of course. It's the complete opposite. But if you can imagine, you've got an open church. So when you walk into an open church, which is like rectangular, like this, okay, you go inside. As soon as you step in the door, it's completely open up to the sloped roof, okay, the pitch in the roof. So it's like 2 levels easily, and it's just, you can see right to the ceiling, okay? So there's no floor in the middle. There's nothing else apart from the solid outside walls, and you walk in and it's really tall and it's up to the top. So that's how this prison wing was laid out. What it means is you've got all the space downstairs for the prisoners to congregate in what they do. And then there's steps at either end which takes you up to the next level, and the balcony is literally like a meter wide. So there's no floor across when you look up, like a ceiling and the floor. It's all open to the roof, to the pitch in the roof. But you have about a meter walkway, and then on the other side of that, you have the tiny rooms, the prison cells, which are like no bigger than a new build bathroom. Okay? So it's getting close to the end of the day where they're locking all the doors and the officers go round with a big bunch of keys and they make all the noise and all the alarm bells goes off and everyone's got to get back in their cages. It's the end of the day. Now, there's a room upstairs on this wing, one room which has microwaves for you to use to warm your food up. Now, what I used to do, because I never ate the prison food, I don't eat any processed food before I went into custody, and I worked in the kitchen when I got there, and I saw how they prepare the food and what they do with it and who cooks it. Prepared by prisoners who aren't very clean, and they tend to do some horrible things to the food on different wings, and it gets a little bit confusing about, they can't really remember which one's going to which wing, so in the end they contaminate things and all of that, and it ends up going back to their wing and they eat it anyway, but they don't really care. Okay? Now, I didn't touch any of the food, so I ate from tins that was sealed or food I could buy the meat. Okay? So anyway, I always take my food at the end of the day to the microwave when they lock the doors right at the last minute. It gets warmed up so I can have a hot, fresh meal in my room, prison cell, without obviously having to eat outside of everybody else. And that was like my time. Okay, I've cooked some good food, meat and rice, maybe some salad and some onions and something else, and I take it back to my room so it's piping hot in the microwave. Now I go to the microwave and somebody's food has already finished, so the microwave is off. The alarm bells are going off downstairs. Prisoners running around to scramble to get all of their things so they can get back into their room. They're collecting the tobacco and the deals they've done, or the money they've made, or the poker chips, or they're swapping whatever clothes or mags or books, etc. Because now the doors get locked and nobody can come out of the cages. All the lights go off outside until about 9 o'clock in the morning the next day. So it's like a massive, everyone's out, everyone's running around in the other rooms. There's about 60 cells, 60 people, or 120 people actually, because most of them are double cells in this tiny little room. Big area, but it's a tiny space, if you can imagine, where you can see right up to the ceilings. So everyone's running around scrambling. I go to the microwave room, which is my usual strategy. A few of the microwaves are there, busy. Okay, lights still on. One of them has finished, so lights gone off. Ding, it's finished. It already gone off before I got there, the ping on the microwave. So I'm standing at this microwave knowing that the prison guards are running around checking all the rooms to get all of the prisoners back into their cells. One at a time, they put them in, lock the door, okay? They're getting closer and closer and closer towards, obviously, I've only got a few minutes. And nobody comes back to this room to collect the food. And nobody comes in to take it out of the microwave. I'm looking out of the door, off of the balcony, down to all the prisoners, saying, is anyone's food in there? No. So nobody responds or comes in. So the logical thing to do is, okay, just take that one out. It's gone off. Time's running out. Just put it on top or to the side. Put mine in and turn it on for the 3 or 4 minutes to warm up. 2 minutes, whatever it was. So I do that like any normal person would. Put it on the side. It's all sealed up. Put mine in. Wait for a few minutes, and what happened? I waited for a few minutes, and then I think I took the food back to my room, had my meal, all the doors closed, etc. Then the next day, as soon as the doors open, obviously I've heard nothing, as soon as the doors open, there's this particular guy upstairs in this microwave room waiting for me, okay? Upstairs is horrible, unstable, violent. He's got teeth missing at the front. He's got one tooth there at the front, and then like another one sort of at the bottom, which, you know, they're ties like this. So one at the top and one at the bottom next to it, his teeth. He's an ugly, horrible, mean, big, dark skinned, strong, horrible guy. You know, you don't want to look at him. He's a horrible guy. Bully. Anyway, so my door opens. Somebody comes around to me, one of his like henchmen, and says to me, he's waiting for you upstairs in the room. You need to get up there now. Basically, I'm fucked. Basically, you're fucked. So one of his messengers, his henchmen, one of his people that, you know, does all the running around for him, has been told to come and get me, bring me up to the room. It's called, I don't know. It's, when you go in a room with someone in prison, it means that only one person is coming out of their own accord, or able to walk, or coming out conscious. When they go in a room, you're going in the room with someone, or you're going in the cell. That's what's happening. That's just how it is. I don't make the rules. That's just how it is. So as I look up, I can see him standing at the door, waiting for me to come in, just staring down, looking at me. I'm on the lower floor. He's on the upper floor. He's looking down, just waiting for me, knowing his messengers come to get me. And I'm like, okay, so now I'm in trouble. So now I've got, you know, a decision to make. Now I've got a problem, big problem. This is the worst person, the only person you don't want to have a fight with. You'd rather, you know, have a fight or get the crap beaten out of you by 5 other people at the same time instead of this one guy. It's that bad. Nobody comes out well at all. Nobody wins against this guy. Somebody bit his side of his face off in a fight that they had not long before. Another guy that I knew in there who's a massive gangster on the outside, and he comes in there and he met his match and they had a row and a fight, and they go into a room. The other guy gets a crap beaten out of him, the guy I know, but he manages to bite the side of this guy's face off. This is just, and the other guy lost. So he bit the guy's face off and the other guy lost. And yeah, it's terrible. I know, it's just unimaginable just talking about these things now, but that's just what happens every day. General stuff in there, it's just usual. Yeah. So a few people come to me as I'm just about to leave and say, you can't go in there, you can't go in the room, he's going to do this, he's going to do that, you're going to get annihilated, he's going to slash your face, he's going to cut you up, you're going to get shanked and all of these things, but you have to go in there. You can't not go in there. If I didn't go into the room, I've got a bigger problem with everybody else in the rest of the prison for the rest of the time that I'm there. And I've only been there for, I don't know, for a couple of months in that place. Maybe not even that, a couple of months. And I was there for quite a few years. So if you go in and you get humiliated early, everybody attacks you. You're now a target. And it's a very small world. It's like a social scene, but the worst social scene you can think of or want to be associated with or want to be part of, if you know what I mean. It's no glamour, it's not, you know, you don't want to be part of it at all. So I'm faced with this decision that I'm in trouble. Big problem. The first big, I've had a problem before that, but this is like another big problem. That's another story. Somebody attacked me, broke my jaw. I had to have my jaw wired. I had to have a steel plate put in my jaw across here. And I've still got numb, part of my lip is numb here. They said it will grow back very, very, or the nerve will grow back. But, you know, that was within being in prison for 3 weeks. Somebody broke my jaw. I went to hospital for 3 or 4 days. It sounds funny now. But, yeah, this is just what happens in there. Another situation, another story to tell you guys. So, as I'm about to go into this room or make the decision, people are saying to me, you know, do you want to take this shank? Like, trying to give me this knife that they've made with, like, razor blades in a toothbrush. Someone else has got the toothbrush where they've, like, filed the end down and they've soaked it in something. It's gone really hard and brittle, and they file the end, so now it's just like a poker. You know, someone's got the razor blade on the end and they're like, you know, you need to take this in there, trying to give me this weapon. And I'm like, I don't want to stab anybody. And they're like, you go in there, You have to go in there. You're either getting stabbed or shanked, they call it. He's going to shank you or carve you up, they call it, with the razor blades on your back, on your face, etc. That's what they just do in there, the animals. Or you got to shank him first. I'm like, I don't want to do any shanking. I don't want to kill anybody. And I don't want to be killed. So what am I going to do? This guy is not going to change his mind. He's called me out effectively. I have to go there, or the rest of the jail and every jail that I go to after this I'll be a target, like their bitch. So I'm faced with a dilemma. So I don't take any weapons from these guys. I'm like, I don't want to take the shank. I don't want to take it out of my pocket. I don't want it. And I just look at the guy and just start walking to head up to the room. Now, everybody on the wing, there's 120 people, apart from him upstairs, which is one, and me, the other one. So 118 people are looking for the excitement. They love the drama. There's nothing else to do in this place, okay? Nothing at all. So they want to see fights. They want to see people getting stabbed. They want to see the gang violence. They want to see officers getting beaten up. They want to see prisoners getting beaten up by the officers. Any highlight at all is what they want to see, and they will do everything possible to create that highlight, to manipulate situations, to do a bit of name calling and poisoning of different groups of people so they fight. Deliberate. Because there's nothing else to do. Do you understand? There's nothing else to do every day. If you're there for 10, 20, 30, there's nothing else to do at all. So everybody's out. 118 people downstairs standing there watching, and a few of the others upstairs outside the room waiting. But you can't go in the room. It's not like a cult. It's like a ritual. Somebody calls you out. Nobody else goes in the room or the cell. They go in. They lock the door. You fight it out. Someone's ending up in hospital or losing an eye, losing teeth. Like he's got all of his teeth knocked out, but at the front he's just got two there. All right, terrible. And that's just how it is. So cocky, confident me thinks to myself, well, hold on a minute. The two options I'm faced with, I can't do option 2, which is not go in there, because it's suicidal for the rest of the time I spend in prison. I'm also not someone who needs to prove myself, so I don't want to have to fight the guy. Obviously defend myself, but I don't want to have to fight somebody. And I'm not the type of person who wants to take a shank like the knife culture in London, and all of those guys are in there that have a knife on them or a shank down their trousers all of the time. Every time they leave their cell, they got a shank. Because if you don't shank the other person who wants to shank you first, you're getting shanked. So instead of being shanked, you have to do the shanking first. It's madness. Anyway, so I don't take any weapons, and I go up into the room. So as soon as I go into the room, past all the prisoners all standing there outside waiting, just like shaking their heads like, I'm dead. I'm dead. They're thinking either I've got something big and I'm going to do him with it quick, or he's going to do me. That's it. There's nothing else that's going to happen. 2 people, someone's getting nearly killed. Okay? So they're all shaking their heads and looking and trying to give me weapons as I go into the room and saying things. I've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to shank him, you've got to do this. So I just go into the room, just walk up to the guy and just say politely, you said you wanted to see me or talk about something. I mean, what is it? Like, I'm thinking, what can I help you with? What is it? I don't know what it is. Anyway, he just politely says hello, which is a bit messed up, the guy. He just walks past me. He goes to the door, closes the door on all the other prisoners, so now nobody can come in. There's glass, so you can see through this little thing, and all their faces are there. There's like 28 people trying to look through this little bit of glass, like this length, to see what's happening in this room. So he closes the door. Now I know, my heart's pounding. I'm thinking, well, I'm fucked. That's what I'm thinking. I'm fucked. I got no weapons or anything like that. I'm just thinking I'm fucked. But I'm still in the back of my mind thinking, I can sort this out. I can get myself out of this situation. I don't have to be fucked. Just. So he comes and stands next to me, really close, and, smell his breath. bits of spit because he's so close looking down on me. He's about 6'2", 6'3", maybe a little bit bigger. Big as well, about 15, 16 stone, taking steroids and all sorts that he's taking now. So he's massive. Big black guy standing over me with 2 teeth in his mouth. Ugly. I remember the guy. Never forget his face. And he says to me, "Are you mugging me off?" I'm like, "What? Sorry? Are you mugging me off?" I was like, "Mugging you off? I don't understand what you mean. Mugging you off in what way? Mugging you off?" He was like, "Yesterday, I put my food in the microwave." This is what he's saying to me. He came upstairs to get his food before he goes back to his cell, and somebody took his food out of the microwave, put theirs in, turned it on. I'm just baffled, like, mugging you off because somebody took your food out of the microwave when it was cooked, when it was done, and put theirs in when there's about 3 minutes left before you get locked in your cell, and you didn't come back. That's what I was thinking. So I said to him, I'm not trying to mug you off. I did take your food out of the microwave because it had gone ping, and I wanted to put mine in because yours is done and hot, so I could take it back to my cell and just eat it that night, the same as you want to do. And he's just fuming. He's raging in front of me, talking to me, more or less spitting in my face because he's so close, and he's not just saying it how politely I said it. He's in jail. He's a gangster. He's got to be this big bravado and loud and make lots of noise and stomp his feet and do all the hand gestures because that's what he does, just intimidating people. And he's like, so he's saying it in a very different way of saying that. I've just give you a very polite version. And I'm just thinking to myself that it's escalating. You're mugging me off, It's just escalating. I'm thinking, right, I haven't got a weapon. He's got a weapon. And his fists are weapons anyway. And he's just got bite marks on his face where half his face has been chewed off from the last guy that he fought just a few days before. And he won. Half his face is missing down here. And I just thought, look, I've done business on lots of different levels. And it's helped me learn to communicate and understand people and be able to communicate with people. And I was also a listener, which is a Samaritan in prison. So I used to go into prison cells with people that are, all men that are suicidal. They've either tried to commit suicide, or they're about to commit suicide, or they've already sort of half started. They might have a noose, they might have razor blades, they might have already cut their wrists. And it was my job as a volunteer, purely volunteer, to go into their cell and be locked in their cell with this unstable person they can't see no light at the end of the tunnel. They're about to commit suicide or, kill themselves. And it's a cry for help as well. Lots of it is. And imagine being locked in there. They want to end it. They have problems with other people. Like this guy, they might owe him money for tobacco and they can't ever be seen again. And they want to kill themselves because they don't want to face this guy in the morning. So that's when lots of these things happen. So I would go to the prison cell with them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning, sit there for, many hours, just talking to them and communicating with them to try and help them realize that life is worth living and nothing's as bad as it seems, so they don't need to kill themselves, if that makes sense. So that was my job as a Samaritan in prison. I did that for about 4.5 years. So I just thought, this is where I need to muster up all of what I've learned in business from dealing with, multi-millionaires, footballers, big developers, Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, Bloor Homes, Wimpy Homes, Persimmon Homes, all these big developers where it enabled me to buy around 200 properties before I went into custody and do deals with these big, institutions, these big companies, little me, as I was growing, going in there, negotiating, £4, £5, £6 million deals. Even celebrity footballers that worked for or played for Manchester City, and a famous developer who was on, what was it on? The Real Housewives of Cheshire. We did a deal, or put a deal together in Old Alderley Edge in Cheshire, right by Wilmslow, that area. So it's like the elite, and I think that was about just under £6 million. So, I've been in situations where I've been negotiating deals and communicating people at all levels, from, the highest level there at the time, even to a billionaire, which I become very good friends with, and probably spent a lot of time with them, and we become very close. So yeah, dealing with lots of people on different levels. So I'm standing there thinking I can negotiate my way out of being stabbed or shanked or slashed in the face or put in hospital for a week from this guy in this room. I sort of told myself that before I walked in there, before I made the decision to not take a weapon and go up the stairs into the room with 118 people standing there waiting for a fight to happen or someone get killed. And I just knew that what I'd learned in my business life would be enough. I had the confidence to stand there with a steady hand in front of this guy that's in there for some heinous crimes. He's been in and out of jail many, many times. Stand there in front of this guy who's threatening me and intimidating me, wants to kill me in this room, locked. And I managed to keep a steady hand and look the guy in the eye and talk him down just with negotiating. It was just a deal. I saw it as a deal. Now, I looked at it as he wants to take something from me and I want something from him. What he wants from me is he wants to take the power. He wants to take the control. He wants to take the self-esteem. He wants to take the win. He wants to take the victory. He wants to take the glory and humiliate me and have the power, all the bravado that he gets, all of the stories that the other people will tell. He has something to prove, and I'm standing in the way of that. So he has to go through me so he can prove to everybody else in the jail and in the wing that he is the man, the number one. He is the big dog. He is the G. He's running the wing. He's not to be messed with. That's what he gets from me. That's what he wants to take. Now, what I want from him is for him to not stab me. I want him to not put me in hospital. I want him to not slash me in the face. Okay, so it's just an exchange. So I'm just standing there, like he's up here. I'm obviously down here. He's up here. I'm down here. He's talking down to me and he's shouting and he's getting worked up, and I can just see him, the colour changing, and he's ready, and the adrenaline is in his body and he's ready to go to beat the crap out of me, what he wants to do. I don't want that to happen. So I'm just talking to the guy, what I learned in the Samaritans, the mirroring, what I learned in business, mirroring and matching, and tonality of my voice, and listening and not cutting him off, but trying to lead the conversation and trying to make him realize different things and overcome his objections. So it just came down to business for me. I'm there, and everybody else's strategy is take the weapon, do him first. That's the strategy in there. You take the weapon and do him before he does you. That's it. My strategy was I can negotiate my way out of this situation. So he's going mad. I'm trying to diffuse the situation to try and make him see my way of thinking, that he's not going to look humiliated when we go out there after and we haven't had a fight and he hasn't beaten the crap out of me and proved himself to all of those people. So yeah, we spent, a few tense, irate minutes trying to navigate my way out of that situation. So I'm just glad about all the experience I had before in business, which led to that moment for me to use all of those skills from negotiating deals, doing a couple of hundred property deals, making a lot of money, having a team, having 12 staff, running a very successful company, and just use those skills to talk this guy out of, giving me the beating of my life, or scarring my face, or losing some teeth, or being stabbed with some dirty object and getting hepatitis, and spending another week in hospital. Like I said earlier, within a few weeks of being in prison, I had my jaw broken, lost a tooth, had my metal plate installed in my bottom jaw here, and had my jaw wired closed for a few months after eating or drinking liquidized food. So I didn't want that to happen. So I'm just glad, about what I learned in business, which was transferable for the last, I don't know how long would it have been? Well, a decade at least, 11 years or so in business, in the property business. That helped me navigate my way out of that terrible situation that could have only ended in a very bad way, or completely ended my life in that sense. These people are unpredictable. Yeah,